Good morning, Crystal from the Rain Dance Ranch off grid. So right now I am using my Delta One. Normally I'm not hanging out in my bedroom much past the time I wake up, but this morning it was a little chilly. Things have gotten chilly, and I have an electric blanket and a cat. His name is Mamba. He just showed up, and he really likes it here. And so I guess I'm keeping him. And I just kind of wanted to, so I've been in the bedroom and I'm thinking, you know, this thing is working out really good for what I've been using it for. I feel comfortable and confident that I can make it through the winter with what I want to use it for. But maybe not. I mean, I'm just about to enter the winter where it's fall. It is October 21 right now, I think. And on October 17, or it's the 20th, yeah, yesterday was the 20th. On the 17th, we had our first storm. And prior to that, I was like sleeping with the window open and with a sheet because I get real hot at night. And I was like running the fan in the room. I went like 1 week where it felt like I didn't even need to turn the fan on or anything. So we went from like hot and needing a fan and running the evap at least at some point in the afternoon. And then finally it got to the point where I only needed to run the evap for like maybe an hour at night, you know, out in the main area of the cabin. But next year in the summer, I definitely want to have an evap in the regular area, in the main area, and another evap in the sleeping area. Or I'm going to get a mini split. But if I don't get the mini split for another year or something, you know, I think I can make it with the evap. But I'm really going to need the mini split in the summer. We'll see. Anyways, and I really don't know what the solar situation is really going to look like when you get the mini split. And the mini split has AC and heat. Just FYI. Which was why they're really good for cabins on solar, and they use a lot less electricity than any other kind of heating system. And, you know, except for maybe some possible portable individual little space heater type heaters and stuff like that. But, you know, in terms of having something effective that works kind of like the AC that you know and love, that runs with the ductwork and all that, it's a lot more efficient, and in a small space, I mean, it should work pretty good, and especially if it's whatever your building is insulated and all that. So I've pretty much decided I'm going with mini split. So definitely stay tuned for my video about that experience, because I do a lot of research on stuff, and there's always something I'm like, why doesn't anybody talk about that? So here's two things, at least, maybe I'll think of something else, that I haven't heard anybody talking about in all my videos of people talking about their these power stations, these solar power stations, is, okay, this particular power, I have two power stations. This is a Delta 1 and I have a Delta 2. And when I got my Delta 2, somewhere I read that if you are not charging it down past 30, so like to 29 or maybe at 30, charging it down, utilizing, you need to use the batteries down to 30% or 29% and then bring it back up to 80% or more every 3 months, then the warranty is no good. So there's something about making sure that you allow it to go down to 30% and then back up to 80 that must, and I don't know why that is, and I'm planning on calling EcoFlow. So after I call them and ask them about that, then I will make a video about it. But that's what you're supposed to do. So if you're buying an EcoFlow, you need to do that if you want your warranty to be good. And the other thing, I guess it's the warranty issues. I don't know, maybe I haven't looked it up. I haven't heard anybody talking about these warranty requirements. And then also the warranty requirement is that if they're going to have you send the thing back to them, at least with EcoFlow, you have to send it back in the original packaging. So you need to save the original packaging. And I'm pretty sure you have to save all the components that came with it. So if you didn't buy when you get a power station from EcoFlow anyways, you only get the cord that you would charge in your electrical outlet in your home with, or something like that. And then you get a cord that you can charge with your cigarette lighter in your car. So you don't get a solar panel connector cable. Now, if you buy one of their solar panels, you'll get the solar panel connector cable. And I have heard people talking about how you don't get the cable if you don't buy the panel. So I just so happened to get panels with my 2 EcoFlows. This Delta One I bought off of OfferUp, and it came with a 100-watt panel, which really doesn't do much. It just kind of takes the edge off, but I wouldn't rely on that. And so I did call EcoFlow before I had that other question about the warranty situation. And I said, well, how many watts of solar panels can you put in this Delta One? And he said 400 watts. Well, my Delta 2, and then I asked him about the Delta 2, and he said 500 watts. And the Delta 2 Max, you can do 1,000 watts. So I don't know. I mean, they have different prices all the time. If it's like an extra $300 and you got it, get the Delta 2 Max with the 1,000 watt panel capability. However, I have to say that my Delta 2 with the 1 extra battery is fine. I mean, it usually charges up in half a day, when it's sunny out. And it's doing fine. So but me living off grid, I would like to have 1 more battery to go with the Delta 2, or if I had the Delta 2 Max. And I would like to just have that stronger wattage input, because we do get days where it's like half cloudy. And so like if for some reason you get down to 30% in the morning, or 20% in the morning, or even 0, and it turns out to be a cloudy day, you might only be able to get it back up to its 50% capacity. And I just would feel better about being able to get it charged up a lot faster with the 1,000 watts. But it's working out good. So I don't know, do I really need the extra 500 watts of panels going into my EcoFlow Delta 2 with the extra battery? I don't know. But I've been charging this on those 500 watt panels. And let me show you here. Because even on my Delta 2 with the 500 watt panels going into it, it never hits 500. The most I've ever seen my Delta 2 hit was like somewhere around the 400 mark. Maybe 415 watts coming in on the input. And right here, if you get this, you'll see. When you hook up the panels, you should see a number right here. Right, and so when I plugged in the 100 watt panel, I'm getting like 75 watts input. and it does not really, it takes like 3 days to charge it up sometimes. I tested that out a lot, and it you can't get from like, if you're starting at, you're gonna be lucky to get like 15% with a 100 watt panel. And so if you're using this, I mean, I was like really on edge until we got those big 500 watt panels hooked up. And I also have a 220 watt portable panel. My 100 watt panel is a portable one from EcoFlow, and then I have a 220 watt panel from EcoFlow as well, and that barely did the trick. Now I think on a good sunny day the 220 watt would charge this up, but it takes a while, and so that's just something to consider. So I would find out how many watts of panel is your maximum amount of watts that you can hook up to these things. And so if you've got a Delta 1, it's 400. If you've got a Delta 2, it's 500. And that's why I recommend just going with the Delta 2 Max. If it's only a few $100s more, $200 or $300 more, their prices kind of change. Because then you can have, you could have 3 200 watt panels, right? And you'll just be able to maximize and charge faster. And again, like I said, it does really make a difference if you've got, because I had a lot of sunny days, but the clouds would go right in front of the sun. You know, there was clouds in the sky, but it was basically sunny, if that makes sense. And so it's like sunny for 15 minutes, and then cloudy for 15 minutes, and then sunny for 40 minutes, and then cloudy for an hour. You know, it just, but it was basically a sunny day, and it wasn't like totally, completely overcast. And I wasn't able to get anything charged up 100% with the 220. And, anyways, so I just think it's good to have the option of having more panels, because with more panels, like if you only have 2 hours of sun, and maybe they're not all at the same time, maybe you've got an hour of sun at 10 a.m. and then an hour of sun at like 1:30, right? Those 2 hours can really charge up your system if you have 1,000 watts going into it, right? So then all you need are those, you know, any kind of partially sunny day, you should be pretty good to go with your solar. So that's why if I had to do it again, I would get the Delta Max, the Delta 2 Max, or a power station that can take 1,000 watt panels, or at least like 800 or something like that. So when you're shopping around, look for those things. That's important. And and when you look at the information about the products, like they don't point anything out to you. You're just like, I don't need none of this stuff. Hardly any of this information means anything to me. Like, and I've researched it. I obviously I do not like where Tesla is. I'm like complete polar opposite, right? And I'm getting there. I'm working on it. But I like these power stations because you really don't need to understand a lot. But that's something that you really should consider when you're making a purchase. And that's like kind of what I do, like when I go to a store. I'm like, okay, so here's a washing machine for $300 and here's a washing machine for $500. Why should I buy that $500 one? And usually they're like, well, it has more settings or something. You know, like the salespeople don't even know, right? I get that a lot at places. And then every once in a while, the salesperson will be like, oh yeah, well, you get this, that, and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, you've sold me. I'm willing to spend that extra money because, however, on refrigerators, I don't want anything extra. Just give me a basic refrigerator. Anyways, but that's beside the point. So yeah, it's just interesting. So, and then there's another thing about storing the power station. So if you're not going to use it, I mean, if you're going, maybe 3 days or a week, it's probably no big deal. And you know what? I should ask EcoFlow, like, how long? I know you don't know where I'm going with it. I'm taking notes. Questions for EcoFlow. So how long? Okay, so they say that you're supposed to, now I didn't hear this from EcoFlow. It did happen, this is the one little bit of information that I did hear somewhere along my research before purchasing these, and that is that you're not supposed to store them at 100%. So I'm assuming that if I charged this up at 100% and I went out of town and I was going to come back the next day, but I got caught in a storm and had to stay there for 4 days or something, or a week, just because, these things happen, right? It'd probably be okay just sitting there at 100%. I think it's when you're just, like, you don't charge it up at 100% and then ignore it for more than 3 months. So you have to, if you are going to charge, like, a lot of people have these, like, in there, they're living on the grid in the city, especially, like, places where the electricity might go out, and they might have a couple of these, and they just break them out when the electricity comes out, or maybe they need to go outside, and they want to run some lights in an area, and it's just kind of nice to have this, or run a tool or something outside. They're having a party, whatever. I want to run the stereo. Do we even have stereos anymore? So people that are randomly using these and storing them, you don't want to store them at 100%. But I don't know where the cutoff is. So if I've got it at 100% and it sits there for a week, is that going to cause a problem? Or if where's the cutoff? Like, is it 3 weeks, a month, or 3 months? I don't know. So, or you could just never charge it much past 80. But the thing is I'm using mine every day. So if it gets up to 100, great. But if it gets up to 90, and if for some reason I'm ready to unplug it, then I'll just stop it somewhere in the 90s. Like, so last night, I stopped it at 91%. It was charging up on my gas generator. And what I've been doing since we had that storm on the 17th, because it suddenly went from, like, perfectly comfortable to, like, all right, I need my electric blanket. So I usually keep this at high. It does use a little less electricity if you go down. See, I'm putting it on a lower setting. You have more intermittent surging. Yeah. See, it does go. So, I mean, but the thing is with my electric blanket, and apparently from what I understand, a lot of people that use electric blankets, and this isn't all about electric blankets, but, while we're talking about it, it's sort of like those middle settings tend not to be warm enough. And that is true with my electric blanket. So I just put it on high, and I've tried turning it down to like the 3 or a 4, and it's like barely any heat. I don't even know why they have all these different levels. But it, sometimes that's okay, But when it's super cold, and I don't have any heat in my cabin right now, so I'm just depending on my electric blanket for heat at night. But it's totally comfortable in here during the day. A little cold in the winter, or in the morning. I'd like to have a fire going, And once I get my wood stove going, I probably will be starting a fire in the mornings, especially as things get colder and colder. But right now it's super comfortable. It's going to be sunny the next couple weeks and in the 70s at night, and, you know, in the high 30s for just a teeny little bit of time at night. So I'm not, right now it's really comfortable, really. And what I've got is working for me. Just having the electric blanket is all I really need. Sleep in a sweatshirt, got an electric blanket, and a cat. That's Mamba. And, so yeah, I do not have my phone plugged in right now, by the way. I'll pull that out. I was going somewhere, now I don't remember. So I was saying, I did mention that I was charging this on my 500 watt set of solar panels just because of convenience and laziness. Because you got to go unplug everything. I'm not set up with another set of 400 watt panels, right? And so actually that's kind of the next thing I want to do, is I want to have a 400 watt panel system for this to plug into. And the other thing is I only have one cord for the solar panels with me. I left the other cord in California in storage. Hopefully it will turn up, because that would really suck if I have to buy. I can't believe they got separated, and I think I left it. I can't find it. So I only have one solar panel cord. So, but the last couple nights, I just recently got a gas generator, a Predator from Harbor Freight. And it's a dual fuel. I can't remember exactly like how many, 8,000 kilowatts or something. I don't know what it is. I think it says 8,000 on it. I should really get this stuff down before I start making these kind of videos. But see, this is why this is for the newbies. Now, this is a question I need to get answered too. Is when I plug it into to my gas generator, the input says it says 680 last night, it was saying. And I was like, wait a minute, it's only supposed to be able to take in 400. Is this going to mess up my unit? I don't know. I got to call them now, and I got to be like, look, I'm plugging it into my generator, and it's just like plugging it into a regular plug. But then the input is saying that it's 680. Is that okay with my little Delta One? So I don't know. Maybe there's like some other thing I need to do to protect it. I don't even know. I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably a newbie, or you're one of those kind of people that knows a lot about this stuff, and I don't know why you're watching this. But please comment down below, or maybe you just happen to know something and you're a newbie too. I don't know. But I am going to be calling EcoFlow about these questions, and I will be making another video about it. So there's 23 minutes of my review. Oh, you know, did I even mention that the electric blanket, like last night it was at 91, and then this morning when I got up, I've been up for a while and I'm still sitting under the blanket because it was chilly. It was at 50. And normally I get up even when it's cold, since it's been cold anyways. But this morning I'm just dilly-dallying and writing notes about shopping lists and stuff, and I thought I'd make this video. So that's why we're down at 37, because I'm still running it. And I'm probably going to just go ahead and turn that off now. But that gives you an idea of what your electric blanket will do with one of these things. So if you're living off grid and you don't want to, and maybe you have like a small place and you don't want to, maybe you do have a fire in the fireplace, but like by 3 o'clock in the morning, the place starts getting cold again. You got your electric blanket, and you can just stay under your electric blanket and run it in your Delta One, and you'll probably use about 40% of the battery unless you turn it off more, or you have it on a lower setting, or you have a better blanket that doesn't use as many watts as mine. But anything that heats up is going to use the most amount of wattage. More wattage than the evap cooler and the air conditioning and the refrigerator. Like, those things use less wattage. It's anything that heats is where it costs you in your battery. Just FYI. So, okay, so the next video I said was going to be, or not, maybe not the next video, but eventually I'm going to answer the question about storing it at 100%. Like, if you have it at 100% and you keep it that way for a week, is that okay? Where's the cutoff? And then I want to ask about why it's beneficial, or why the warranty requires you to go down to 30% or just under 30% and back up to 80 at least once every 3 months. So those are some questions that I will be answering, and some things that you need to consider if you are a newbie and you're looking at buying a power station, whether you get a Delta or an EcoFlow or anything else. I would get something with high watt panel capacity, and make sure you save your boxes, and check all of the warranty rules. Especially, well, all I know is those are the things that EcoFlow requires. And these, something like this original Delta, you might be able to find used, and it might be good. Or you could use like a lower, you don't need a heavier duty thing, and you have something like by your bed. That was going to be my other thing I wanted to talk in this video. You want something like by your bed so that you can just have all of your electric needs taken care of, like right there. And you don't want to have to like run a cord. If you have like one big unit, then you've got like cords running all over. And also, I'm in a place where I can't just plug in. There's not like electricity in the walls and outlets like in a house, right? So, and I don't mind this. It's not that big of a deal. It's really, really working out really good. But yeah, so, 30 minutes. We're almost at 30 minutes. Yep, I'm a chit chatter. All right, so Delta One review. Good luck out there.